Great, just get started. All right. Well, hi everyone. I can see that we have about 6 people already online, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Can everyone hear me okay on the webinar? Have I muted you all?
Yes.
Yes, okay, you can hear me okay?
Maybe raise your hand or chat in if you're having any trouble hearing.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Everyone chatted, okay. Oops. Chat, okay. Can you hear fine? Great, thanks Mercedes. All right, thanks everyone. I'm just gonna ask you all to mute yourself if you don't mind for the next 20 or so minutes. And then we'll have space for Q&A at the end where we can all go through any questions about the application. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us for our informational webinar on the SVPLA Systems Change Accelerator. We are really excited to be launching into the 2nd year of our program supporting emerging initiatives tackling the systemic issues in LA. On today's webinar, you'll be hearing from myself, Sharon Stratton. I'm the Program Manager at SVPLA, and Christine Margiotta, our Executive Director. On the agenda for today's call, we will give you a brief introduction to Social Venture Partners, an overview of the Accelerator program, as well as the application process, and we'll take time at the end for questions. So I'll hand over now to Christine Margiotta to give us all an introduction into Social Venture Partners LA.
Great, thank you, Sharon, and hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on the call and for your interest in our accelerator. I'll just take a couple minutes and tell you a little bit about SVP. For those of you who aren't familiar, SVP, we are part of an international network of social venture partner organizations all around the world. Here in LA, each chapter is independently run, but we are joined together by a pretty unique way of operating, and that is what's called venture philanthropy or engaged philanthropy. So we create a vibrant community of people that brings together nonprofits that are in the early stages of their organization or the early stages of an initiative with individuals who we call partners, are philanthropists who are interested in not only investing their resources in emerging nonprofits, but who also want to give their time and talent to help support the mission and vision of great nonprofit organizations throughout LA County. So we've been around about 14 years. Some of you may have gotten to know us through our Social Innovation Fastpitch program, which has been going for the last 10 years. But our mission has stayed the same, really focusing on supporting these early stage organizations and early stage initiatives. So as I mentioned, we started back in 2004. Our global network is about 3,400 partners. Those are the individuals who are giving their time and money to the space. And we're all around the world. Here in LA, we've made direct grants over the last 14 years. Our grants are considered seed grants. They're generally between $10,000 and $20,000. So in this program, as Sharon will talk about, we provide a $10,000 seed grant. What we consider just as valuable is the pro bono time and energy that our volunteers, that our partners invest in the nonprofits that we work with. So you'll see a little bit more about us there. And with that, I'll hand it back to Sharon to talk more about the accelerator.
Great. Thank you, Christine. So as Christine mentioned, we work from a pretty unique model of engaged philanthropy And the Accelerator program was born out of conversations that our partners had, along with our nonprofit partners that we had worked with over the years. And we heard a real desire to provide support and funding to initiatives that were looking at the systemic issues and at tackling those issues from a systemic perspective. So we launched our pilot program last year and just wrapped it up last month, actually, and had some great learnings, and have even further refined the program to provide just lots of support for the cohort incoming in October. So a snapshot of the Accelerator program offerings. Selected participants will receive $10,000 in unrestricted seed funding. You will become a part of a supportive peer group of other nonprofit leaders that are tackling systemic problems. You can expect to attend monthly workshops to connect with this peer group. You'll be supported throughout the program by a partner support team. So this is a team of SVPLA partners who have raised their hand because they want to get really involved in supporting the emerging Accelerator initiatives. And so the partner support team goes throughout the 9-month journey and really provide mentorship, coaching and counsel to achieve the targeted goals that participants will set at the beginning of the program. We also, towards the end of the program, focus a lot on introductions to key influencers and funders to expand your network of influence and funding. And Accelerator participants will also go through our signature Fastpitch program. So you'll go through 2.5 months of pretty intensive coaching to hone a 3-minute pitch of your work, which culminates in a 500+ person event in March, attended by nonprofit leaders, philanthropists, entrepreneurs, and really just a range of potential new supporters for you. So the program is rolled out in 3 phases, 3 3-month phases. Phase 1, which starts in October, runs through to December, and we focus on strategy and planning. So getting clear on your systems change strategy initiative, meeting your partner support team, and developing a driver diagram roadmap to lay out your 9-month goals and how SVPLA can get you there. Phase 2 runs from January to March of 2019, and that's Fastpitch. So each participant is supported by 2 SVPLA coaches. And phase 3 is where we focus on the network and capital building. So with your pitch in hand, you'll be supported by SVPLA through building connections to leaders and other influencers important to your work. So I'm just going to pause here. I realize that was a wall of words and information. Did anyone have any questions about anything to do with the program or what we've covered so far? I think people can, we're good? All right, okay, keep plugging on. So in terms of eligibility, this is what I imagine many of you have questions about on this webinar. So we've got the eligibility criteria up on the website, the application form, but just really quickly, it's for 501c3 nonprofits. We prefer LA-based organizations. If you're not based in LA, but you have a significant presence or impact in LA, we invite you to make the case. The systems change focus is a really key part of the, sorry, I should clarify, that's LA County, not city. Systems change focus, which I will dive into in a minute. We're looking for early stage endeavors. The organizational representative, whoever is participating in the program, should be the executive director, CEO, or someone with comparable senior level decision-making authority for the initiative or organisation. And we're also, any organisation that has participated in Fastpitch in prior years and made it to the stage, so was one of the finalists, is unfortunately not eligible to apply. Systems change. So what we learnt last year on our pilot program, and what we're learning again, is that it's helpful for us to try and help potential applicants get really clear on what we mean by systems change. We really want to honour the time that it takes to going into crafting an application, and so hopefully as we dive into what we mean by systems change, that will help clarify for you whether you're eligible. So what we mean by systems change, fundamentally we're looking for organisations or initiatives that are working to tackle the root causes of pressing social problems. We've got our definition up again on the application form and the website, so I won't read through it here. I think what might be helpful is if we look at a couple of diagrams that helped us to look at differentiating a direct service approach in comparison to a systems change approach. So what we're looking at are initiatives that seek to work beyond a one-to-one impact approach, and are looking at how their work will have a lasting impact on the lives of people beyond just those that they touch. So some examples that we've got up here around homelessness, education, and Islamophobia. I just want to make clear that we're not trying to be prescriptive about what a systems change approach should look like. These are just real world examples from organisations that we know of in our community that work with a systems change focus. So for example, working in homelessness, we would look at systems change as efforts that remove onerous barriers to public housing based on a criminal record, or passing a bond measure for billions of dollars to create permanent supportive housing. A direct service approach would be moving individuals off streets to housing, food or shelter programs, anything that seeks to work one-on-one with individuals or families to alleviate that immediate need. Great.
And just to echo, as Sharon said, those examples, even if your organization is working in one of those three issue areas, the systems change examples are not intended to be prescriptive. So if you're working within homelessness, your initiative doesn't need to fall into one of those three buckets. Similarly with education and Islamophobia, we just wanted to give some examples of organizations that we've worked with who are working in what we would define as systems change space, because we found in previous applications there was some confusion for applicants between direct service and systems change. So we just want to be as explicit as we can be. As Sharon said, about as much as we support and believe in direct service work and we support it through other programs, for this particular program we're really focused on initiatives that are working more broadly than one-on-one with individuals or families.
Thank you. Great. So we have, and this slideshow, I'll share it with all of our webinar participants afterwards, so you can kind of go through this in your own time, rather than me reading this wall of words at you. So we find that it's helpful to ask some of these questions to identify whether your approach might fall into a systems change lens or not. So these are some questions you might ask before you embark on applying the application form, completing the application form. So is my initiative or organisation focused primarily on working directly with beneficiaries to alleviate an immediate need? Have you made or are you seeking to make the problem go away temporarily or forever? Have you created local empowerment or dependence on your model? Have you set in motion new behaviors, norms, values, incentives, etc. in your model that renders your model unneeded over time? So again, these are just questions that can be helpful in determining whether your initiative would be a fit. And if you have any questions at all, you can always contact us. I might pause there and just ask if anyone had questions come up over the systems change piece.
And you can chat in or just verbally ask any questions. We'll make sure folks are not muted.
Okay, great.
Looks like Christy,
you've raised your hand.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Christy.
Yeah. Hi, how are you? I'm Christy Lamb. I'm the co-founder of a nonprofit, Moms in Film, with a social venture, mobile childcare colonies. So we actually have like a physical, product that we are incentivizing by way of like lobbying and speaking with some of our representatives about tax incentives, things sort of down the line, like some much larger social movement and normalization of like parent-friendly practices and family values. However, we also do have like a practical application. Is there an approach that you might recommend in terms of language around like how best to position an organization with a social venture that does also, seek to make large systems change, like in terms of language or focus of the application being like on sort of those larger talking points around goals that are forthcoming about incentivizing or normalizing these types of values in various industries? Or would you, like, how much should I sort of even talk about the venture, which I imagine would be what the organization will be pitching for come March? Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to mute myself because I'm in a cafe, so I don't want to get too loud.
And thanks for asking the question, Christy. So it sounds, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like you have a social venture that would fit more into the direct service realm, but it sounds like you have emerging work in more of a systems change space that's looking at incentives for employers and tax credits and things like that. I would say the latter part of your work is the better fit for the systems change accelerator. And I would say this to anyone on the call. I know for many of you, you have perhaps a blend of direct service work, working directly with youth or families in your community, and you may have some systems change, community organizing, or advocacy work. What we ask you to do in your application, and you'll see this in the application, we'll ask questions about the initiative that you're focused on, and we encourage you to focus specifically on the systems change component as you're talking about the initiative. We reference this graphic, the graphic that's up on your screen now, in our application as well. And Christy, what I heard you referencing is also, would range from institutional, systemic, and ideological when you talk about shifting mindsets around work and parents working. So we'll ask you in the application to talk about the different levels that you're making change. We would encourage you to address one or more of these in your application, but definitely focus on that emerging work. And we want to say, very clearly, it's really okay and actually encouraged if your initiative isn't fully fleshed out, it's not off the ground. Our intention is to invest in big ideas that are in the early stages. So it doesn't have to be, a well-oiled machine at this point. In fact, if it is, it's probably not as good a fit for us because we are we're looking to invest in the early stages. I'd say in the first, 1 to 5 years of a new systems change initiative.
Thank you so much. That's really clarifying. And we were just founded in 2016, so we're still very, very new as a nonprofit, and the social venture is just like 3 months old. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And that brings up one other note. I want to say, in terms of, so we talk about the life stage of the organization as well as the life stage of the initiative that you're applying for. So for those of you who are in nonprofits that have been around 5, 10, 20 years, you are welcome to apply as well. For even more established nonprofits, we are just looking for an emerging initiative. So if you have a systems change initiative that's in those first 1 to 5 years, it's still a great fit. And it's also a fit if your entire nonprofit is in that early stage. That's okay too. But just want to be clear, your nonprofit doesn't have to be a young nonprofit in age. It's just the initiative itself. We're looking for those early stages. So in our first year, if you look at the organizations we partnered with, it was really a blend of both early stage nonprofits and early stage initiatives within more established nonprofits. Great.
Thanks, Christine. Were there any other questions from the group? Great. All right, keep moving on. So to share with you all an expectation of the time the time commitment involved. So as I mentioned, the program launches in the middle of October and runs until June 2019, so it's 9 months in total. Between October to December, you can expect to attend 1 workshop per month. Between January to March, the Fastpitch process, you'll attend 2 workshops a month, and then again from April to June, roughly one per month. Outside of the workshops, the amount of time that you might spend on Accelerator related work will vary, and our intention is not to create an onerous sort of load of extra work on top of your initiative, but you could anticipate spending anywhere between 1 to 4 hours a week, and again you'll be supported by your SVPLA partner support team. So those hours might include meeting with your partner.
To like someone.
Just going to mute. Just going to mute you all. I'm sorry, I'm hearing some background noise. Oops. Right. Awesome. So I'll talk a little bit about the selection criteria and process. Each application will be assessed on primarily these 3 areas. The social problem, so the program and initiative addresses the root cause of a pressing social problem in LA, and in your application you demonstrate a deep understanding of the problem and its causes. Innovation, so we're looking for innovation initiatives or programs that have unique potential for impact. So the way that we like to phrase it is it's innovation in service of greater impact, not necessarily innovation for innovation's sake. And the innovation is seeking to address the systemic issues that give more potential for long-term results than conventional models or practices. We're also looking for participants' openness to learning and sharing. So the leader applying for the program demonstrates a thoughtful approach to their work, a proximity to the challenge that they're addressing, or at least a consideration of proximity to the challenge, and a willingness to learn, to share, and to grow in their leadership. So applications will be reviewed by a committee of our partners, and oops, and I've just jumped ahead. Yes, applications will be reviewed by a committee of our partners, and you can expect to find out the result of your application by, by September the 7th. So I've just put up on the webinar a snapshot of the application form that's online right now. So you will need to click through to get this screen. And a word of caution, the application form will not allow you to submit partial responses or to work halfway through and then save and come back to it later. So you'll really want to download the Word version of the application, complete your answers in that offline document, and then come back and then complete the online application in one sitting. Great. So any questions on the selection process or the application form? Should probably unmute. Feel free to chat, raise your hand, or just speak up. Oh, okay. Got a question coming through. How many initiatives will be selected? Great. So we've got a question to the group. How many initiatives will be selected for this cohort? We're currently looking at selecting anywhere between 3 to 6, 7. In our pilot year last year, we selected 5. So depending on the strength of the initiatives and how much of a fit they are for the accelerator, anywhere between 3 to 7. All right. Any other questions? Great, we've got another question. Are the workshop spaces open to membership to attend? Do you mind clarifying that question? I'm seeing James ask a question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, this is Jennifer Maldonado. I work with Inner City Struggle in East LA, and we're very intentional about ourselves being part of these workshops or learning sessions, but also figuring out if they're open to memberships, such as the youth that we work with or the parents that we work with. So that's where the question comes from. If the workshops that are twice a month are just for the particular representative, or if we could also bring membership to be part of that space to be intergenerational and inclusive. So I'm just trying to understand like the structure of the space.
Yeah, thank you. That is such a great question. So the short answer is yes. Your membership will be welcome to attend certain workshops. What we try to do with these workshops, the monthly workshops, is a blend of some time carved aside for just the leaders of the initiative to gather as a peer group. We find it's really important just to have that space to talk through what you're going through, to be in an environment with peers sharing similar challenges. But then we offer space in workshops for you to invite your team members, your board, your whoever you feel is relevant to your initiative, to come along and participate.
Thank you. Sorry, my follow-up question is, what does the evaluation process look like in the end?
Yeah, and can I ask a clarifying question? You mean evaluation of the initiative? Just getting a little background noise. If someone, we could all mute ourselves if we're not. Okay. All right, I'm just going to mute you all for a moment.
Okay, I think it's.
Oh, I think we're good.
It's better.
Okay, great. Thanks. Sorry, so just a clarifying question, was that around the evaluation of the Accelerator initiative at the end of the 9 months?
Yes, like someone, and that's not my noise, that's someone else's noise. The evaluation towards the end, like if the initiative like pivoted at some point, how to kind of regain traction, or evaluation as the terms of like, did we actually have a long-term impact? Is this something that can continue in a different capacity? So yes, something like that. Like if there's a evaluation like piece, part of this like 9 month, then that's what I'm asking about.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we will say there's no expectation or requirement on our end as to where you'll be at the end of the 9 months. So we understand some of this work will be new, it'll be emerging. We had one organization in this first round who completely changed course midway through the program, in part because of the experiences they were having in the program and some light bulbs that went off around ways they wanted to change their direction. We completely welcome that. There's no arrival at the end of the program. There's no place that we're expecting you to get to. That being said, what I think I also hear in your question is, is there space for us to support you in doing that self-evaluation in terms of what's next for you and your initiative? And absolutely. There will be a lot of space and support for reflection and for you all to guide what's next, throughout the whole 9 months, but also as it comes to a close, for you to think about what's next for the initiative.
Great, thank you so much.
Sure.
Great, we've got another question coming through. So do you have, or can you provide specific selection criteria against which presentations will be scored? Yeah, thanks for that question, Mercedes. So the selection criteria is up on the website in application form. And really it's the 3 key areas that I mentioned. The social problem, is it clearly defined and understood? The root causes of the social problem, how innovation, is the initiative innovative in the sense that it will create greater impact? And there are questions on the application that will help us get a sense of the 3rd criteria, which is the openness to learning and sharing. So how willing is the leader to step into a space where there's a lot of learning, sharing and growth, and feedback in both directions. So those are the key criteria. Great. Great. Any other questions from the group?
I think you all are muted, so feel free to chat them in. We couldn't find the source of the static, and we just wanted to be sure you all could hear. So if you want to chat in questions, please feel free to.
Great. All right. It sounds like we don't have any more questions on the call today. So the application form is up online at svpla.org/accelerator. If you have any questions before the due date, feel free to reach out. My email is up on the screen, sstratton@svpla.org. And we are really excited to read your applications and potentially work with your Great Systems Change initiatives. So thank you all for joining us.